In my 25 years of day trading now, I've made so many mistakes that taught me these 15 critical lessons that I think every trader needs to know. Understand, I've made nearly $8 million trading and I've coached tons of students, including 50 students who are now millionaires, but I'm breaking down the biggest lessons that I've learned over time so that you don't have to learn them a hard way. Pay attention. Lesson number one, utilize and embrace new technology, okay? Technology has changed a lot over 25 years since I started trading, but this allows you to learn faster now and you can learn from anywhere. For example, I used to have multiple monitors. Now I literally work off one laptop. Laptops are amazing. Now I'm even using my smartphone to trade sometimes. And frankly, AI is the worst it will ever be. In the future, it's only getting smarter and smarter. So I encourage you to embrace it now. Use AI in your daily life. Use ChatGPT, use OpenAI, use Grok. XGPT, for example, is filtering all of my lessons, all of my patterns, and putting it into one compact email every single day. But that's just one example. I think AI will actually probably cure cancer in the future too. Who knows what's possible? But embrace these technology because you'll get big data crunched even faster. And in a trader sense, that's very important. Also, there's many different websites like Barron's, like the Wall Street Journal, like Market Watch. That's good for major market news. I check CNBC.com sometimes just for looking at what the Fed is doing because the Fed can impact the overall market. Never forget 3 out of 4 stocks follow the overall market. So I'm using lots of different technology, lots of different sources, and I'm trying to get a better grasp of what's going on in the markets. Obviously, I've been trading 25 years now, teaching for 15 years. The markets have changed a lot and they're going to continue to change. But understand, several lessons later on in this video, they're going to help you trade in today's world. It's very important to always be adapting to the market. You don't want to just sit on lessons that you learned a decade ago and then they don't really apply here. So all of these lessons are made for you in today's world. Lesson number 2, great success takes time. Rome wasn't built in a day. Don't roll your eyes, okay? You need to hear this. It is a marathon and not a sprint. My own millions and my now 50 millionaire students, they took years to achieve. I wish someone had told me these lessons in the beginning. This is why I got started of being a teacher. For example, when I was running my hedge fund, I met with this one investor who didn't end up investing with me, but he shared a very valuable lesson with me. And he made me feel like crap in the moment where he said, I'm not going to invest in your fund. You're not scarred. And I was like, what are you talking about, old man? I have this great track record. I've made so much money. And this was only when I made like 2 million at the time. I was very cocky. I didn't have the proper perspective. And he said, I love your strategy. I love your passion, but you're not scarred yet. In the moment, I was like, what are you talking about? After I lost $1 million on Cygnus E transactions and I had a really nasty scar from that, although it taught me to cut losses quickly, I then understood why he wouldn't invest in me because I hadn't developed risk management yet. I wasn't scarred. So even though I knew how to profit, I didn't know how to lose properly. And that was just one example, but I did not know where I was in my journey because that man, and I think he was like in his 60s or 70s, he had a lot more experience and he knew exactly where I was in my journey. So for me, I now recognize the importance of his advice. Back then, I had no idea. I thought he was just a crazy old man. Lesson number 3, focus on trading small at first and survive your learning curve. Myself, I made too much money in the beginning, but I was lucky. I'm like Forrest Gump. I got started right away. There was a mania and I made $1 million. That actually held me back my entire trading career because I had too much success in the beginning. If you now look at my 50 millionaire students, none of them have too much success in the beginning. Why? Because they're so focused on studying, trading small, building the proper foundation. Your initial profit and loss is irrelevant in the long run. In fact, it's actually counterintuitive. If you make too much money too quickly and you get too cocky, it holds you back like it did for me. But you need that foundation of knowledge, like how to pick the right stocks, what are the best setups to look for, and most importantly, knowing how to minimize losses and how to cut losses. You don't need to let a small mistake turn into a potential disaster. That can really hold you back because I know a lot of traders, they lose 20, 30, 40, 50, 70% of their account. And even though they might be able to make it back, it holds them back for a while. Mentally, they're in pain. Mentally, they're, screwed up. You don't want to take those big losses, it's very difficult to get back on your momentum track. So I have lots of 1, 2, 3% losses these days. A lot of my top students do. You might be surprised, but a lot of my top students are only winning 40, 50, 55% of the time, not 70, 80, 90% of the time like most people think. Why? Because they're wrong a lot while they're testing, but their losses are much smaller compared to their gains, so their account rises. I'll talk more about that in a future lesson, but understand right now I'm refocusing the content on my channel to cover this more foundational day trading knowledge that is relevant today, because I know you don't think that the foundation matters. It does. All great traders started somewhere. For example, if you only have $1,000 to trade, definitely watch my video on how to start trading with only $1,000 and exactly what I would do, and my video on how to trade stocks with zero experience. You need this foundation. It's good to review the basics. Getting back to the lessons, lesson number 4, I really want you to focus on lesser known niches, okay? Especially when starting out, focusing on smaller niches like microcaps and small caps. There might be less money overall to make. Everyone wants to, trade Tesla and Amazon, the biggest companies in Forex, but you have more edge and opportunity to excel in these small niches. It's very hard to beat big traders at their big games. I wouldn't trade Forex at all. You actually have no edge whatsoever. And yet Forex, why? Because it's the most liquid, the most popular trading industry in the world. So you're competing against billionaires. Guess what? If you're playing basketball, you don't want to play against, Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or LeBron James. You want to take on players that you can win against. I don't want to be in the same niche as billionaires because I have no chance at winning. They have so much more experience, so much more capital, so many more technologies. Average people don't have a chance. With small caps and micro caps, my 50 millionaire students prove none of us are that smart, none of us are that great at math, but because it's such a smaller niche, the smartest, most well-prepared traders, the biggest traders, the biggest investors, they don't care about this, quote, small time stuff. Even Jack Kellogg, my millionaire trader, a student with $20 million now, he laughs at some of the setups that I trade. He's like, why would I trade that setup? You can only make a few $1,000s, because now he's so rich. So I want you to focus on these plays where you can, quote, only make a few $1,000s. That's where the edge is. That's where it's easier. To give a business example, eBay was started when the founder just wanted to sell Pez dispensers, and eBay turned into a multi-billion-dollar business, starting with Pez dispensers. You don't have to go for home runs. You don't have to try to make billions. Start small, focus on niches, and you'll succeed. Don't worry. I know you're worried right now, but I'm going to share all my favorite niches in a future video, so be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Lesson number 5, you'll never be right 100% of the time. You have to learn to control your losses when you are wrong, okay? Any one loss doesn't really matter if you control it. If you lose, but you're losing 1%, 2%, 3%, those losses are fine. They're basically scratches. On your wins, if you have a single, which I consider like a 5 or 10% or a 15 or 20%, whether it's my student, whether it's myself, the whole key is growing your accounts. Personally, I have a lot of 1, 2, 3% losses. I'm fine with that. I've become fine with that. In the past, when I was worried about being perfect, like when that old man told me that I hadn't been scarred yet, some of my losses were huge because I didn't want to take a small loss. Now I'm completely open to taking a small loss. The key is keeping your discipline and your winners being bigger than your losses. So any one loss doesn't kill your account or your momentum, and your account grows over time. And understand, just because you lose monetarily doesn't mean that it's a complete waste. In fact, you actually learn more from your losses. When I am wrong and I lose 1, 2, 3%, I just won't trade that setup again. That's how you learn what not to do. Your losses actually are your best teachers. Lesson number 6, do not short sell, okay? I used to make millions of dollars short selling, but times have changed. And now there's so many short sellers, the squeezes have become so crazy. Even pros risk losing 6 and 7 figures on some of these squeezes, even if the company is a scam, even if it's a junk company, even if the stock eventually crashes. Newbies have almost no chance at winning short selling right now. This is a lesson that I've learned, and I know it's tough, and some people say, oh, Tim, you're a trader, you used to short sell, you taught everyone how to short sell. Yes, but again, I am a trader, not a traitor. There's a difference of spelling there, and it's very important. Traders, with a D, adapt. Traitors, well, they're just evil, okay? Benedict Arnold included. But I trade and I adapt. adapt. So short selling, yes, maybe if you have enough experience, enough money, you can overcome some of these short squeezes. But lately, we're seeing stocks spike from 3, not just from 3 to 10 when I used to short sell. Now some of these stocks are spiking 3 to 20, 3 to 50, 3 to 100 in a few hours, okay? And understand, as you're short selling, you can lose much more than you put in. So you don't just lose all your money, you can lose multiples of your money. And then the money doesn't just disappear. The broker will actually report you to the credit agencies. Some traders actually declare bankruptcy so they don't have to pay their debts from short selling. It is a very, very slippery slope. And it's partially my fault because I've popularized short selling, small caps and micro caps. But guess what? You can adapt. And the beautiful thing is, because short selling has become so scary for short sellers, it's become an absolute blessing for longs. Imagine riding a stock that goes from 3 to 60 or 5 to 100 in a few hours. You can grow your account very fast by focusing on the long side. This is what trading is all about. Weeding out patterns that don't work or are too risky or stressful, and partaking in patterns where there's a ton of opportunity and upside. So this brings me to lesson number 7. Do not be afraid to bet bigger on perfect setups, okay? Small companies, new technologies, they can go supernova faster than ever before. Stocks don't just double or triple in a few days or a few weeks in this market. They can go up 10, 20, 100 times in a few hours or in a few days. So be open-minded and be willing to dream big and take action, but only if you've studied the setups, only if you're fully prepared. You know, it's very scary when these stocks go up and down so fast. I don't want you to think that every stock is going to go supernova and keep going up, because the market is very unforgiving on the way down.
This is the business we've chosen.
So I want you to take profits along the way. Just in the past few weeks, we've seen several supernovas that have gone up 5, 10, 20 times in a few hours. We saw CWD, we saw OCTO, we saw QMMM. Just the other day, WLDS went from 2 to 10 in 10 minutes. I literally was on the phone with my programmer. We were having a technical issue with the website. And while I was on the phone with him, trying to get a video lesson up, the stock went from 2 to 10, literally in 10 minutes, and I missed it. Later on in this video, I'm going to share my lessons of how to cut losses and how to take profits properly, so stay tuned. I'm also sharing my favorite trade setups in one of my next videos. All of the videos I'm mentioning will be linked in the description, so feel free to click around. It's all about learning. And if any video that I mention is not published yet, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss it. We're going to keep creating more and more videos. Shout out to Carrie, who's helping organize everything. Lesson number 8, know who to learn from and who you shouldn't learn from. This is very important, and I learned this the hard way. Sadly, most people in this industry are fake, or they're just mediocre performers. They're not going to really help you achieve much. So surround yourself with proven winners like my 50 top students and myself. My team and I work very hard. For example, in the beginning, when I wasn't teaching, just when I was trading, I was on a bunch of different websites and chat rooms. A lot of traders would share their entry price. They would say, oh, this stock looks amazing, I'm going to buy this. And everyone in the chat room or the website would get very excited. The stock would go up as everyone bought. And then for some reason, the chat leader, the website leader, would never say when they were selling. Why? Because they were pumping up the stock. They didn't care when other people were, in the stock or when it was the best time to sell. They specifically just wanted to pump up the stock. And there's a lot of websites and chat rooms like this where it's follow the leader. I encourage you to never follow anybody's alerts. I only share my alerts so that you can learn my process and my mindset. It's all about becoming self-sufficient. I talk a lot about my 50 millionaire students. Yes, they made a lot of money, but they know their patterns inside and out. They trade their own process. They don't need anybody else. And that, I think, is the best way to learn so that you're self-sufficient too. So be careful, especially when you have a lot of traders where they're not sharing their losses, they're not sharing their exits. They don't really care about anybody else. That's very dangerous. So if you want to learn more from me, definitely sign up for my newsletter below. I promise to teach you everything I know, and it's only going to be good for you, so use it. Lesson number 9, your mindset dictates your success. You have to believe in yourself. You have to stay dedicated, patient, and positive, okay? There is no time for negativity, and you shouldn't also expect overnight success. But there's a lot lot of negative people in your life, probably on social media. You have to tune them out. I know that they'll say that you can't achieve amazing success. They're right, you can't achieve overnight success, but you can achieve anything in the long run. I've learned that. 50 of my millionaire students have learned that. So do not be in a rush for millions of dollars overnight. I just want to be clear about that. You're going to make bad decisions. A lot of people think that they can do all of these amazing things overnight and they want their leverage. They want to just get the immediate payoff. Don't. Okay? Have perspective, be patient. The best rewards, the biggest rewards happen over time. Remember, this is not just about money. This is about your knowledge and experience. And later that translates into money. So this is a very difficult lesson for myself because I'm a very impatient person. But once I took away like these time limits that were self-imposed, I was actually a much more successful trader and a much more successful teacher. Time is actually on your side if you stay dedicated. Lesson number 10, seasonality and history matter. Okay, it doesn't matter how prepared you are. You might have studied everything and you're like, okay, now's the time. But if you're in a bear market or if the market crashes or maybe it's a slow season, it doesn't matter how much you study. There's not going to be that many opportunities. There's not going to be that much money to be made. So understand that the market goes through different cycles. Let me tell you why I go to Italy every summer. I'm very blessed to have a beautiful villa in Italy that I go to every single summer. But why do I go there specifically every summer? Because the summer is slower. Specifically July and August. Those are historically the two slowest months of the year. Although lately in this bull market, it hasn't even been slow. But usually those 2 months are slower. And you'll find that a lot of the most successful traders, the most successful investors in the world, they take some time off. This is not a normal 9-to-5 job. You can take time off. It's good for your, mental stability. It's fun. It's good to bring your friends and your family. But at the same time, recognize when the times are slower. And I actually have a great story from one of the traders who were out there this past summer. His name is Joe. He's made millions of dollars and he was just chilling, drinking. And I was like, Joe, the market's on fire. And I was still trading because, I'm sometimes a degenerate gambler myself. I try to teach you, but I also have lessons to learn myself. And Joe looked at me and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, there's so many plays. And he's like, when I'm back in the US, I'll trade. Right now, I'm taking it easy. And it was such a good lesson and it still sticks with me. So understand, if the market is slow or if you just want to relax, that's okay too. The market will always be there. So learn from history, learn from seasonality, learn from what works best for you too. Some people will say, Tim, shouldn't you just trade all the time? There's so much money to be made. Yes, but it is also mentally draining. It's actually very important. Even if the market is on fire, sometimes you just need to take a day off, a week off. I know some traders who take a month off, even if they're crushing it. You have to protect your mental health too. Lesson number 11, be open-minded to trading all types of assets, okay? The market has changed, the world has changed, and we're traders. So it's okay to trade crypto, NFTs, AI, gold, anything that can take off and really outperform. You don't just have to focus on the FANG stocks or, mutual funds and try to beat the S&P 500, which spikes, a lousy 8 to 10% per year. There's so much upside in a lot of these lesser known niches, as I always say, but if you're open-minded, you can participate. And if you want me to make a video on crypto, let me know in the comments because I'm honestly not sure how many of you are interested in this, but I think it might be useful for you. Lesson number 12, admit when you're wrong and cut losses quickly. If you click below, I have a whole video where literally I talk about cutting losses quickly nonstop. That's the only thing I say. It's so important because if an investment or let's say a relationship is heading in the wrong direction, cut it, save yourself time and grief. Life is too short. It's so difficult and draining to be in a bad relationship or, in a bad position. It's not just about the money. Remember, you have to protect your mental health. I'll tell you, my biggest loss was Cygnus e-Transactions. This was a company I believed in, printed home ticketing. I was right about the technology. I was wrong about the company. They went bankrupt and it took several months to go bankrupt. And unfortunately, I didn't know about cut losses quickly back then. I didn't know about trading liquid stocks. I actually had restricted shares, so I couldn't even sell. And the stock every day would just go lower and lower because pretty much everyone knew that they were heading into bankruptcy. And every day I woke up, I felt so mentally drained because there was literally nothing I could do with my restricted stock. And it was really just a terrible feeling for months. Then when they finally did go bankrupt, I felt even worse. And then to make matters even worse, the new CEO who claimed that he was going to turn around the company, he actually bought the company in bankruptcy, somehow kept kept all of the same contracts, and later it became a $100 million plus company. So I was right about the technology. In the end, I was right about the company, and yet I lost over $1 million. And that was when I was running a hedge fund. So half of it was my money, half of it was friends and family, which made it even worse. I never want to be in that position again. And to be fair, I never put myself in a position like that. I don't do restricted stock deals. I don't take huge positions like that anymore. I never want that again. So I can't encourage you enough to cut losses quickly.
Cut losses quickly. Cut losses quickly.
Take a 1%, 2%, 3% loss. It might not be so much fun. You might be a little frustrated, but it's not going to drain your account, and it's not going to drain your mental capital too. And I know cutting losses quickly isn't easy. So how to cut losses quickly is a highly requested video from my community. I'm going to make a video on this. Watch for it when it publishes. I know it's going to help you. Lesson number 13, take profits into strength. Do not hodl. I know hodling has worked in the past with crypto, but this is a huge mistake because the markets will change. And while investments and niches can spike up huge in this fast moving world, they can also crash very fast, okay? And you don't want to overstay. See NFTs as an example. Everyone was so excited about NFTs. The NFT prices spiked so quickly for several months, and then they all came crashing down. And to this day, this was what, like 2+ years ago now, to this day, I know people who are still holding onto their NFTs, and they don't even know what to do because the prices are down 98, 99, 100%. And it's really just a terrible thing. Like if you bring up the word NFT at any trader gathering, a lot of traders take it very personally.
You've insulted me.
I always say, ride the hype, but never believe it. I want you to understand that. It's all fun and games. By the way, it's great to ride some of these companies up like Nvidia or Amazon or Tesla. Big companies are different, but when you're trading a lot of the hype, like whether it's a meme coin, whether it's NFTs, whether it's some of these penny stocks, there are a lot of OTC bulletin board stocks that spiked 50, 100, 200 times in the past. You must sell into strength. If you actually look at my own personal trading over 25 years and you look at a lot of my best trades, they're not necessarily huge profits, but they're $1,000, $2,000, $5,000, sometimes $10,000 or $20,000. But I sell along the way, I lock in those profits, and I don't look back. And I really think that's the way to be. Now, judging from my 50+ millionaire students, they're taking profits along the way too. None of us are hodling and we have all of our profits in one or two different assets. That's a very risky way to trade, and I think it's going to come back to bite people, especially when this bull market ends. Whenever that happens, it's going to be ugly for people who are unprepared. Lesson number 14, always celebrate big wins and milestones and achievements, okay? It's easy to say, oh, you should always want more and more, it's just another day. But when you actually take the time to celebrate a big win, it's not only fun, but you're actually subconsciously training your brain to want more wins and more milestones. I love taking my millionaire students to different places around the world when they hit $1 million. When I made my first $100,000 in the stock market, I took my whole dorm out to dinner. I was just a freshman in college. I still remember it to this day, and I want more $100,000 wins personally, and I want more millionaire students. So it's all about motivation. Celebrate your big wins. Thank me later. Lesson number 15, community matters, okay? I can't encourage you enough to join our community and build yourself a community of like-minded individuals. Not just about money, right? It's about sharing useful tips, sharing stocks in play, supporting each other when we lose. You know, it's really great because trading can get lonely, and frankly, it's far better to win together, and it's far easier too. We're all sharing different ideas. If you watch Mr. Beast's channel on YouTube, part of the reason that he became such a successful YouTuber is because he says he's part of this community of YouTubers and they're obsessed with growing their accounts and creating the best content. The same holds true with traders. If you look at my 50 millionaire students now, we all get together around the world and we all talk trading and bounce ideas off each other, and it really helps us. You know, it's really cool, again, with people who are in, you know, a similar industry and have similar experiences. You start to get better perspective, and it really helps you not just make more money, but it also helps with the mental aspect. If you want to join our community, there's a link in the description. Just be positive, be dedicated, and we're all in this together. That's it for today. Good luck, and I'll see you in the next video.